New today, a federal judge in Washington state says he'll block the president's executive order that would end birthright citizenship. It is the first of what will likely be several legal challenges to a controversial push from the Oval Office. Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes is here. And Khalif, this is a temporary restraining order that was signed. Where does it go from here?
Nowhere. Right now it's temporary. Then after that, it would have to have a hearing to determine if there will be a permanent injunction. Those are longer. This temporary one is an emergency basis. The state's attorneys general filed these because they're saying their individual states and a couple cities have joined in on this to say that there will be irreparable harm, meaning that money cannot replace the things that will be done, the harm that will be done if this occurs. If you could put a dollar amount on it, there's no irreparable harm. The injunction is done. So that's one of the standards. The other standards is likelihood of success on the merits. In this hearing, the judge has to say, well, are they likely to be successful with this case, even if it goes to trial? This judge ultimately believed that it would be successful if they went to trial. And the last standard is the balance of the equities. When I'm looking at it is it in the interest of the person that's asking for this, or is it in the interest of the person that's asking for it to be denied? The judge believed that when you balance those equities, that the state's attorneys general were in the right and that it would balance in their favor, and so he found that the injunction should stand. But he also had some great content to add on top of that in the middle of the hearing.
Well, go ahead and say something.
Well, some of the best parts that I saw. I mean, when you write a question before the court, it's something called a question presented, and you're asking the court to give you direction. And so they blatantly said, is this constitutional? And the judge says, I can't remember another case where the question presented is as clear as it is here. And then he goes on to ask the attorney that is defending the executive order. He says, well, do you believe that this is constitutional? The attorney responds, yes. This judge says, I have difficulty understanding how a member of the bar can state unequivocally that this is a constitutional order. It boggles my mind. What I can tell you is I've been in court. I've got run down by a judge before. It's not a good feeling. I know he's there at the direction of the president, but at some point, the law has to take a case. And you have to say, I don't know if I can do this, Mr. President.
Yeah, if a judge says it boggles my mind, you got to worry about it a little bit. But attorneys general from 22 states, what you're talking about, including North Carolina, have sued over this. And it also sounds like the Muslim ban from back in Trump's first administration.
Well, the first administration, they were moving extremely fast. And I think this one is extremely well organized. And I credit the Trump administration over the last 4 years for planning on what they would do to be able to back up the things that they talked about with the campaign promises. But we have to be clear. At no point can an executive order override a statute. At no point can executive order override the Constitution of the United States. And that's what you're asking to have done here. One other snippet that the judge said that I thought was funny, he said, well, where were the lawyers in the room when they were drafting this? Kind of like the Enron situation. You got all these folks that are super smart, can make a lot of money, but you are doing things that are unethical and or illegal. In this case, when he said, well, where were the lawyers? Another direct shot at the president, at the attorneys that are standing in front of him like, you guys should have known better. Mm-hmm. And 100%, he's dead on. The 14th Amendment stops this in its tracks. I don't understand how the president thought that this was something that could stand.
Well, that's the other thing that's under attack here, too, is the 14th Amendment. A lot of Republicans are saying this needs an overhaul here.
Well, at the end of the day, they can say that it needs an overhaul, but you need the votes, and you don't have the votes to be able to make sure that you can overhaul and or change that. And so if you want to change the language of the Constitution, one thing that our founders said is that we may not need it to be unanimous, but we're going to need an overwhelming majority of the folks in the states that will be able to do this, and they don't have the votes. What you can do is make executive orders that attack programs, executive orders that attack agencies, regulatory agencies in their guidance. But what you cannot do is use executive orders to override and or change the Constitution. It's just not what this country's made up on.
Certainly going to keep lawyers very, very busy with a lot of these orders that may get up to the Supreme Court.
He may be gaining voters with lawyers because he'll keep the lawyers busy.
Yeah, okay, all right, thanks. Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes.